So we're going to begin on our bellies. And we call this crocodile pose. So you're resting you have your hands stacked, right? And you're resting your forehead on your hands in a way that feels comfortable for you. And do whatever you need. Do whatever you need to get a sense of the settling in. Of the settling in to the earth, to really sensing your body on the earth. So moving from external to internal sensibilities. And then bring your awareness right into the heart space. So you should feel a little bit of connection to the earth with that space if you're on your belly. And then just sensing what is the state of your heart space right now. What are the physical sensations? Do you feel calm, warm, light, heavy? Or the physical sensations? What are the energetic feelings there? Right? Do you feel in a hurry? Do you feel calm? Do you feel calm again? I'm using that word twice now, but is there um, a peacefulness, or is there a restlessness? What's the energetic feeling? And then what might need some healing attention today? What might need some healing attention? Could become something quite small, just maybe you've been ignoring yourself in your own self-care, or maybe there's something with a relationship, any relationship that might need some healing attention. Maybe your heart feels heavy because you actually listened to the news today and there was probably a shooting or some other act of violence. So maybe your heart feels heavy. Maybe one of your former students, this is my example, one of my former students just had a baby. And so every day she sends me a video or a picture. And it just is like, it makes my heart burst. Like, I feel so happy when I see these videos and pictures of this little babe. And then remind yourself that all or any of these physical sensations, energetic, emotional feelings are all okay. And there's nothing better or worse or anything. They're all okay. And then roll over onto your back. And once you're on your back, stretch your legs long, stretch your arms overhead. Take the big yawn. Oh, and find yourself in that pandiculation, sort of an internally motivated stretch. And just let it be your expression of moving into a little bit more movement, segueing into a little bit more movement. Great, then soles of the feet to the floor, knees up towards the ceiling, feet as wide as your mat, and start just with just some soft or small movements of the knees side to side. So the knees aren't falling all the way down to the floor. In fact, maybe the soles of your feet stay planted on the floor, and you just begin to move side to side, feeling into your low back. So from a physical and physiological standpoint, what we need to open up the front heart space, we need to open up the sides of the body, the lateral sheaths. We need to open up the spaces between our ribs, the front ribs, those intercostal muscles. We need to open up the hips and the front of the legs. So now you can let this gain some momentum, get a little bigger. So now as your knees go side to side, edges of the feet stay on the floor as you move side to side. And then as it continues to inspire you, allow your arms to be involved. So when the knees fall to the right, left arm stretches long. And when the knees fall to the left, right arm stretches long. And start to feel some opening, some lengthening through your side waist as you move back and forth. Any speed, any rhythm that feels nice to you. Honoring your body, your practice. Great, coming back to center, taking both legs long and pressing through your heels. Legs are in Tadasana on the mat. And sliding heels, feet over to the right. And both arms up and over to the right. And allow some length to happen through left side body, left side waist. On your next exhale, just let the left leg drift over to the left. Right leg comes beside it and sweep your arms over to the left. Take a couple of breaths here. And we'll flow with this a little bit. So just next exhale, just let your right leg go. Let it slide over to the right and then bring left leg and arms over to the right. Take a couple rounds of breath. And then slide back. A couple more times in each direction. Back to center, to the starting position. Once again, take your soles of your feet to the floor. Knees up towards the ceiling, but now wrap your right leg on top of your left leg and just begin to pull your knees, let your knees fall over to the right, but keep the sole of your left foot on the floor. So just a little beginning arch in the back, low back, a little lift of the left hip. And then you can let this become a little bigger. So maybe your knees come all the way down to the floor. And you can take your arms to a T, and we're now in a twist, a little bit of a back bend. If your body's not quite ready for that, just slip the top leg off and stack your knees. And take a few rounds of breath. As you hold this position, think about scooping your belly over to the left. So the knees are falling over to the right. Think about scooping your belly over to the left. Then slide the top leg off. Come back to center. Once you're back in the center, just do a couple of pelvic tilts here just to neutralize your pelvis before we go to the other side. So really nice to get symmetrical after being asymmetrical. Then wrap left leg over right. And again, just begin to start the motion of letting your knees fall to the left. Like you're teasing everything opens, just nice and slowly. And then eventually, when you're ready, knees will go all the way over to the left. You could vinyasa this. You could bring the knees back up to center and then come again. Or if it feels like you want to just hold the knees over to the left, arms out into a T. And once again, if it's too much at this point in practice, just slide that top leg off and stack the knees. And now you're scooping the belly over to the right. So there's a little contraction in your belly that helps facilitate this twist. So it's not just a totally passive twist, right? And then if you have your left leg on top of your right leg, here, slide the leg off, come back to center, soles of the feet to the floor, knees up towards the ceiling. Again, a few pelvic tilts here just to neutralize the spine, pelvis, lower spine. Good, and then you'll need a block. And we'll set the block right underneath our sacrum. Right underneath the sacrum. And pull your knees up in towards your chest. Or hovering over your tummy, I guess is more accurate. And then pull your right knee in and stretch your left leg long. So allow your left heel to rest on the floor. And allow there to be some lengthening through the front hip flexor. Overworked, resourced out to the chair, hip front flexor there, the hip flexor. So right knee in towards the chest. That might feel nice even to have a little movement in the right knee, just sort of back and forth a little bit, right? Then you bring your left knee up and hover above your tummy, and then left knee into towards your chest, right leg long. So opening the hip flexor, lengthening through the hip flexor. The hip flexors are simultaneously overused and under strengthened by sitting in chairs a lot, sitting a lot. So as much as we can, we want to stand and move, and I'm either standing or lying down. I really don't like to sit. I sit on my bicycle though, that's for sure. Great, then we'll take both knees over our tummy, take the soles of your feet to the floor, and you can just leave the block underneath your sacrum for a second here.
and walk your feet back towards the block. See if you can get your feet to come back. Your heels maybe are even with the front edge, as if the front was your down at your bottom end of your sticky mat. See if you can get your feet back close to your block, and then feel for your knees reaching towards the bottom short edge of your mat. So there's a little opening or lengthening or stretching on the top of the thighs. Keep drawing your knees down towards the short end of your mat. Great. And then you can walk your feet back. Position of comfort, just pop up, move the block out to the side. And you're already up, your hips are lifted, so slowly just roll down to the floor. And see if you can feel each area of the spine, the spinal column. See if you can feel each area of the spinal column as you come back down to the floor. So we're going to do this a few times. We're going to press up into bridge on the inhale. And so resting on the shoulder girdle, chin in towards your chest, draw the knees towards the short end of your mat. Okay, and then we're going to take 3 rounds of breath to come down to the floor. So next exhale, release into about the middle of your thoracic spine, the middle of your back. Take an inhale here, and then continue through the thoracic spine. Inhale and exhale. See if you can slowly take it all the way back down. Maybe even one more round of breath as you come into your lumbar spine, lower back, and pretty hard for me to get like L4 and L5 to touch, but I'm doing my best. And inhale, press back up. Okay, so thinking about as slowly as possible, you're going to roll everything back down to the earth. Feel this, each spine bone almost unfurling onto the mat. And take as many rounds of breath as you need to come back down. Press up. Just do a couple more here. As you come up though, and you can hold the top of the pose and really draw your knees towards the short end of your mat. Chin is in towards your chest, and the collarbones are lifted. Beginning, this is a back bend, right? This is a back bend, supported differently than one on our knees or standing, but this is a back bend. Slowly unraveling the spine. All the way back down to the earth. Good. Then from here, we'll just roll onto one side. You can rest your head in your hand and take the top foot with your top hand. And bring your heel as close to your buttocks as possible, and the knee back as far as possible. So you feel a lengthening in the front of the leg and the quadriceps. And then you can roll to the other side. Do the opposite leg. And from there, we come up to all fours. So once you're in table, just rock back and forth, moving your hips back towards your heels, coming forward. Okay, and then we'll pause in table, and we're gonna work in the upper back, just getting the upper back prepared. So allow your arms are gonna stay straight here, but you're gonna let your shoulder blades come together as you let your heart sink towards the floor. Arms stay straight, right, as possible. And then press your hands into the floor, press your shoulder blades away from one another. So you let the heart sink towards the floor, shoulder blades come in towards one another, and then press shoulder blades away from one another. Okay, so a little, we kind of call these shoulder girdle push-ups. Shoulder blades come in towards one another. Shoulder blades move away from one another as you press the floor away with your hands. So heart relaxes towards the floor. Then press into your hands, separating shoulder blades. Then next time you come up and your shoulder blades are separated from one another, just reach your hands forward, set your hips back towards your heels, come into puppy pose. Roll your triceps down towards the floor. But then let your head come to the floor. So the hairline, rest your, right at the hairline, rest the head onto the floor. Sweep your arms back behind your body, interlace your fingers, and draw your arms off your body. So here, just allowing, we're kind of allowing gravity to help us get into the shoulders with the head down. Great, cool. Then slide your hands forward and come back onto your belly. Make that little pillow again and rest your forehead on the pillow of your hands. Legs are long, tops of the feet into the floor, and then inhale to press up and exhale to lower down. Now, as you vinyasa this, as you go up and down, draw your pubic bone towards your navel. Right, so draw your pubic bone towards your navel. You're trying to maybe draw your navel off the floor. Yeah. So you feel this, a good solid contraction in your abdominals, the front abdominals. So even though we're doing this very baby back bend, right, we're keeping length through the front body and the back body together. Now, the next time you come down, pause. And as you breathe and expand through your upper chest, through the side ribs, just feel your heart space in contact with the floor. Okay, then rest your forehead on the floor, bring your hands alongside your body. Just allow everything to relax for a minute, like you're in a shavasana on your belly. So let your heels fall out. Let your shoulder tops reach down towards the floor. Let everything relax. And then straighten through your legs, tops of your feet to the floor, pressing the tops of your feet into the floor so that your knees come away from the floor. There's enough engagement in your legs that your knees come away from the floor. Draw your pubic bone towards your navel. So get a little bit of posterior tilt in the pelvis. Then lift shoulder tops, lift hands, lift head and shoulders, lift legs. You're squeezing the shoulder blades towards one another, squeezing the buttocks. The back of the neck is long, so working these back muscles. Good. For 3, 2, 1, release. And you can, in between, take a pause, turn your head in one direction and then the opposite direction. Maybe rock your hips slightly, softly. Okay. And then come back to center. Forehead on the floor. Tops of the feet to the floor. Engage your legs so your kneecaps come off the floor. Draw your pubic bone back towards your navel. Feel how that lengthens your low back. And then lift your shoulder tops. Lift your hands up towards the ceiling. Lift your head and shoulders. Lift your legs like you're flying. For 3, 2, 1. Don't come down to the ground. Bend your elbows. Hover your hands right underneath your shoulders. Take your hands to the mat and press up into a baby cobra. For 3, 2, 1, release. Let everything go. Turn your head to one side. Nice soft rock of the hips, the pelvis. Turn your head to the other side. Let everything go. Okay. And come back to center. So back bends are really invigorating, right? You can feel the energy required. They're quite physical, even when we're just holding it. So starting again with your forehead on the mat, back of your hands on the mat. Engage your legs. So kneecaps are off the floor. And then draw your pubic bone towards your navel. Feel how that lengthens your spine. Then lift shoulder tops and hands. Lift your upper body. Lift your legs. 3, 2, 1. Bend your elbows. Sweep your hands forward to the right beside your low ribs. Take your hands to the mat. Press into a baby cobra. As high as you feel comfortable. Elbows are in and hands are kind of pressing in towards one another. Draw your elbows back in space, isometrically. 3, 2, 1, release. Turn one direction with your head, softly rocking through the pelvis. And the other. And then back to center. Okay, now we're going to take the arms out to a T. All right. We're going to press into our feet and lift the kneecaps. Draw your navel, your pubic bone towards your navel. Lift shoulder tops, lift your arms like you're taking flight. Lift your head and shoulders, lift your legs. For 3, 2, 1. Arms back to your sides. Rest yourself back onto the floor. Rock your pelvis. Hips. Pelvis can just waggle, waddle back and forth a little bit, and make sure you turn your head in both directions. And come back to center now. Forehead to the floor. Now bring your arms to a wide position, sort of in front of you. Okay. And if any of these positions feels like too much for whatever reason, just go back to the original position. So now engage your legs so your kneecaps are lifted. Pubic bone towards navel. Lift shoulder tops, lift arms, lift head and shoulders, lift legs. Back of the neck is long. For 3, 2, 1. Sweep your arms down to your sides. Let everything go. Might feel nice to bend your knees, actually. Let your feet move back and forth. And make sure that you turn your head in both directions. Okay, back to center. Bring your elbows underneath your shoulders and press up into Sphinx. All right, press up into Sphinx. Draw your shoulder blades down. Draw your pubic bone towards your navel. Lift your navel away from the floor. Well done. And then from here, lift your thighs off the floor. Thighs off the floor. And then thighs back to the floor. Pubic bone, navel. Adjust your arms as needed or interlace your hands, fingers, so that you form a little triangle with your arms. So arms can be parallel to one another or interlace the fingers. Draw your navel away from the floor. Lift your pubic bone off the floor. Lift your thighs off the floor. Thighs go back. Pubic bone, navel. Okay, do a few more. So we're just really working with the low back strength and the abdominal strength in combination. So navel comes away from the floor, pubic bone, and then thighs. So you're in a modified forearm plank. And then on your next exhale, thighs back down, pubic bone, navel. Okay, now this last time, let's try turning the toes under and lifting. You can do one leg at a time or both legs. So navel, pubic bone, thighs. And then you can turn the toes under and lift the legs and come into forearm plank. Or one leg at a time, or stay in that first rotation. And then knees to the floor, thighs, pubic bone, navel, all the way down. Arms alongside your body. Turn your head to one side, rocking your hips gently, and then turn your head to the other side. Continuing to rock your hips gently. Back to center. Hands underneath shoulders. Press yourself up to table and hips back towards your heels. Arms long, arms off the floor, puppy pose. Next inhale, come forward, you're in the table now, and then you're gonna take your block between your ankles so that you can sit in Virasana and grab your strap. Good. So let's just warm the shoulders up a bit. So strap in your hands in your lap and just flossing the shoulders. We're coming up behind the head. And the width of your hands depends on the stickiness in your shoulders. And you can make it a little bigger, the width between your hands, and you can start to scrub your back with your towel. So one hand comes to the floor and the other arm is up and that elbow's bent. And just go back and forth a little bit. Good. Great, then let's take the hands a little closer. Come back with the strap in your lap, take the hands a little closer. Bring the strap up above your head. Release the left hand, let the strap fall down. I'll turn this way. So bend your top arm, right arm, palm in, and then turn your left hand, palm out, and take the Gomukhasana arms. Pulling the strap apart. So you can walk your hands as close together as allows you to keep the shoulder of the bottom hand. We don't want that to collapse forward. We want it to be lined up right underneath our ear. Pulling the strap apart. And then you can release that. Bring your strap back into your lap, right in front of you. Inhale. Take the strap up, bend through the left elbow, release the strap with your right hand, turn palm out. Bottom hand, palm out, right hand, palm out. Left hand, top hand, palm in. And again, take your hands as close as you can without compromising and having the right shoulder tipping forward. Keep the right shoulder open. Now, can you draw your tailbone down, 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 down? Really reach your tailbone firmly into your prop. And see, maybe that took a little bit of the arch out of your low back if you were outsourcing this to your low back. Then you can release, take your strap over to the side and just roll your shoulders up, down, and back. Both directions. And then take your fingertips to your shoulders and circle your elbows. And see if you can get your elbows as close together in the front. Pretty easy. Oh, how close can you get them in the back? Pretty challenging. In the front, in the back. Change directions. Let your arms just relax. You're going to need both your blocks now. Both your blocks. And let's just begin with the blocks. We'll have the blocks back behind us, but let's come back to table. Just gonna move one, no, I'm not. Come back to table and take a few rounds of cat-cow. And on these few rounds of cat-cow, can you begin in your pelvis and let the follow through come all the way to your head? So you might have to slow it down a little bit. Begin in your pelvis, tuck, round, 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 head comes last. Same thing, you're gonna come into your cow, beginning in your pelvis, in your hips, and coming last by lifting your head. Good, great. And then we'll rest hips on heels and take your blocks beside you, beside your feet. Okay, and you can start at any level with the blocks, but I'm going to start with mine on the most upright level. And then I'm going to stand up on my knees. So blocks are beside the ankles. Good, and I'm going to inhale the arms up. Now, same body position as on the floor, right? So we really want there to be length in the back. So draw your pubic bone towards your navel slightly. Yeah, it's subtle. Good. Then exhale, reach your right hand back towards your block, left hand up and over. Inhale, sweep both arms up. Find that same position where you still have length in the back. So you draw your pubic bone towards your navel slightly. Navel comes up and in, right? And you can feel that lengthening in your lower back. Then you reach left hand down towards the block, right arm over. We want the back bend to be one long arc through the spine. Inhale to sweep back up, both arms overhead, palms facing one another. Okay, right here, before you go back, draw your pubic bone towards your navel slightly, just slightly. So you have the front body length and the back body length pretty similar. And then sweep the right hand back and the left arm comes over. So we're in a back bend with a little lateral side movement. So this is just a variation of camel Ustrasana. Inhale to come back to center. And exhale, left hand to the block. Right arm sweeps up and over. We get to open through the side waist here. Yep. Inhale up. And then exhale, just rest back down onto your heels and move your blocks out of the way. And we'll try a second round and we'll change the level of the blocks. Okay. So come back up to your knees and maybe go to the second setting. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Now, draw your pubic bone towards your navel. Feel length through your back. Exhale, sweep the right hand back. You come back. You're going to have to lean back and press the hips forward. Hand resting on the block. If that feels pretty good, we'll leave it at this level. You can always go back to the first level. So I'm pressing my hips forward, right? Inhale, sweep up.
it almost like you spring back up. Okay, right here with the arms lifted, draw pubic bone towards navel. Then exhale, left hand back to the block. You back into this, you press your hips forward. Inhale, sweep up. And exhale, just set your hips back down onto your heels. Okay, so we'll try this now in closer to the more traditional Ustrasana. So come back up onto your knees. You can have your blocks handy. You might want them. But now we're going to bring the palms to the low back. Good. Draw your pubic bone towards your navel as you press forward. Lift the collarbones and lean back into this variation. You can keep looking right up at the ceiling, or you can let your head fall back. It's up to you. This variation of Ustrasana. To release out, you simply let yourself spring back forward. Okay, so next variation is to turn the toes under. See if you can get all 10 toes under. And at any point, recycle back to the first round with the blocks. But now we're gonna lift through the collarbones, draw pubic bone towards the navel, hands to the low back, pressing forward, press the hips forward, and then reaching right hand to the right heel. Maybe that's where you go, and then you just come back. Maybe left hand to left heel. For 3, 2, 1, let yourself spring back up. If your blocks are here right in front of you like mine, take both hands to your blocks. Bring your knees back. Bring your hips back. Find a modification of puppy pose. Arms extended out in front. So we're not fully, in a child's pose. We're just going slowly to the opposite orientation of the spine. Great. And then come back up to standing on your knees. All right. Take your blocks. I'm going to remove my top mat here, but take your blocks out in the front, turn your toes under, and find yourself in downward facing dog. So downward dog. Whoa, and you can do whatever is calling you there. Like, ooh, my calves are tight. Stretch out the calves a little bit here. But we're going to come into a couple of simple standing, standing postures that we do pretty regularly, but with emphasizing sort of opening into the opening the front body space. Okay, so in your downward dog, draw the kneecaps up. Draw the kneecaps up. Feel the strength of your legs here. We did a lot of standing postures on Tuesday. And then walk your feet up towards your hands, bending through your knees and pressing yourself up to standing. Press yourself up to standing. Okay. Great. Walk around your space, take a minute, set your blocks up to the back edge of your mat. Back edge of your mat. Okay.
And then find Tadasana somewhere in the middle of your mat. Great. Step your left foot forward and step your right foot back. Turn your right toes out. So here we are. And this stance doesn't have to be super wide. We're going to play in more in the upper body. So as you press into your back heel, bend through your front leg. Hands are still on hips. So the warrior one legs. And then inhale, sweep your arms up. Draw your pubic bone towards your navel slightly. Engage your navel in and bring your low ribs, front ribs into your back body space. Inhale here. Exhale, straighten your front leg and sweep your arms open. Inhale, bend through the front knee, step into the back heel, sweep the arms up. Low ribs into the back body space. Pubic bone towards navel. Inhale, reach fingertips towards the sky. Exhale, straighten the front legs, sweep the arms open. Take your gaze up. Lift the collarbones. Inhale, sweep the arms up and through the front knee. Exhale, open the arms, open the heart. Lift the collarbones. Front ribs are pulled into the back body space. Pubic bone towards navel. Inhale, bend through the front knee. Arms up. And exhale, simply straighten the front leg and let your arms float down to your sides. Good. We'll turn to the other side. Turn to the other side. So front foot points straight ahead, back foot is out at an angle, hands on hips. As you press into the back heel, bend through the front knee. Inhale the arms up. So draw the front ribs into the back body space and pubic bone towards navel. Just slightly, get that slight movement that keeps the back body long. Then as you straighten the front knee, open the arms, lift the collarbones, lift the gaze. Inhale, bend through the front knee, arms up. Exhale, straighten the front leg, open the heart. Inhale. Exhale. If balance becomes an issue, just look straight ahead. It'll help improve that. Inhale, bend through the front knee, sweep the arms up. Front ribs in back body space, pubic bone towards the navel. And then exhale, straighten the front leg, and let the arms sweep down to the sides. Good. Turn back to the first side. Open up your stance slightly so that you can come into warrior two legs. Good. And then from here, we'll bring our front hand down to the block to the outside of the front leg. Back hand on your hip. Straightening the front leg to come into Trikonasana. We'll bring fingertips to the top shoulder and open the heart. So turn the heart towards me. Pubic bone towards, a little trickier here, right? Pubic bone towards navel, but collarbones lifting. Heart open here. Trikonasana. You could play with your top hand holding the head, or you could stack, or you could leave your fingertips on your shoulder.
Good, then bend through the front knee. Come up through warrior two. Straightening both legs, turning both feet to be parallel. We'll take the other side. So we start with warrior two legs. Backhand on the hip. The front hand comes down to the block. Block beside your lower leg. You could be on your fingertips here. And if this is too much at all, you just come to your hand to your thigh. So it's better to work, because we're working with opening the heart. It'd be better if you were up higher and that kept you open, right? Than if you're down here, as you straighten that front leg, you can't open your chest. You can't open into the back bend. There's a little back bend here. So if you need to have your hand on your chin or your thigh, do that. So here we are. Top hand or back hand on the hip, and then fingertips to the shoulder. And you can play around with this, because if you'd like to really work opening here, you could put your head in your hand. That's a little more accessible with your front hand on your thigh, and open your chest, open your heart. Your collarbones are lifting, navel's up and in. For 3, 2, 1, bend through your front knee, coming back through warrior two, and straightening the front leg, both feet parallel to one another, facing forward. And then heel toe the feet together. And let's release the hips a little bit, just circling the hips around in both directions. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale, take a fold here. Take your blocks from around behind you, stacking blocks, and wherever, if you need your feet a little wider, get to a spot where you can rest your forehead on your blocks, which are stacked in any safe configuration. Okay, and just a little inversion. For 3, 2, 1. Pressing your hands, lift and move your blocks out of the way. Heel toe the feet together. Come into a squat. Could be sitting on the ground on a block or hovering, and then coming down to your bottom and rolling back onto your back. And the same thing, so take some ownership now here. What do I need? What does my body want to do to find that settled position again? So maybe it's a figure 4. Standing postures, really sometimes excite the outer hip. Maybe you're ready to go right to Shavasana. Maybe you want a happy baby or another set of twists. Listen in and make your way back, finding that same sense of settling. Coming back to the idea of this ever-changing, ever self-adjusting, healing
living body that we inhabit. Really see if you can land in yourself. And then a scan to see if there's any holding anywhere. Can you soften any holding? Release any tension in your jaw, around your eyes. And bring your gaze back into the heart space. How is it now? How is it now? And you can slowly come back into your space. The outer surroundings, sounds, preparing yourself for other responsibilities. Namaste.